You know, everybody that comes out here and they see the field full of cars, nobody even takes really a second look at this unless I tell them what it is, that it is a genuine right-hand drive Toyota Soarer with the twin turbo engine in it. And I mean, just at first glance, when you look at it, it does look just like a Lexus SC300 or SC400, but it is so much more special and so much more valuable than those. And it was really cheap because I bought it straight from Japan. And if you think about it, over here, SC300s and 400s in really bad shape can be had for $3,000, $4,000, right? This car, no joke, was $1,500 American dollars, $1,500 US dollars plus around $1,000 to ship it. There's a little few miscellaneous fees in here. I'm going to pop up the invoice on the screen because nobody will believe it. I don't know what the landscape is like in Japan. I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments, but are these as common over there as SC300s and 400s are over here, and why they're so cheap over there? Mind you, this was a couple years ago. If this car works good, which I remember it working good off the trailer. I mean, I literally took it off the trailer, parked it here, and it's been here for at least a couple years. The engine by itself is probably worth at least $5,000 to $6,000. But you would never just want to pull the engine out because the car is literally like an original time capsule. Everything's in amazing condition, and we'll check the odometer in a second, but if I remember correct, it has under 100,000 miles on it, 100 and something thousand kilometers, which is, again, well under 100,000 miles. Obviously, everything's going to be really dead, but look at how the condition of everything holds up. But we don't care unless it runs right. We're going to go see how everything is held up under the hood, and we're going to prep it for its first start in what is over, in my estimation, over 2 years. Dude, do the hood shocks still work? Hood shocks even still work. That's crazy. I mean, look at it. It's actually really clean under here. And just to show you how original this thing is, I remember it coming with this because I pulled the battery out of it when I got it. It was so dead. This is like a battery insulator, and 9 out of 10 used cars I buy, if they come with this, you don't even see them. People throw them in the garbage because they're kind of cumbersome and get in the way. This had the battery insulator on it, and just everything under here, again, is really clean. Let me know, again, comments. Does this mean that the timing belt was changed right here, this sticker, or is that just telling us to replace it every 100,000 kilometers? I mean, it's got over 100,000 kilometers, so who knows if it's been changed. We're gonna get an education as we go along here. I think our spark plugs are gonna be located under here. We're gonna start with opening those up. We'll lubricate the cylinder walls so it's safe to start, and then I also wanna throw some fuel stabilizer in it because, again, this thing's been sitting for a few years. All right. We gotta get some power tools here one day, man. I mean, what am I doing with it? Allen keys, for God's sake. Okay. What I think is incredible is just look at the condition of all the like rubber hoses and the plastics in here. I don't know what's been replaced and what hasn't, but I could tell you that newer European cars use this like really cheap brittle plastic on everything, and everything cracks. Uh-oh, look at this. What is he doing? Hey, he's licking the steering wheel. Sage, did you put this away? Did you ever work on this?
Nope.
Somebody, you know, did your quality level of work here by putting that screw in crooked.
They tried their best.
Well, it's tough to get to, you know, I don't blame them. Let's see what's under here. Man, dude, this car is really relatively clean considering it's been sitting out here this long, and who knows how long it was sitting before that. We got our coil covers, our coil wires here. Well, I thought they're numbered. They all say number 7. They're all lucky number 7. There's only 6 cylinders though. We're not going to break those. You know why?
Why? It's a Toyota.
It's a Toyota. That's right. They actually know how to make them with some quality. Oh, that one snapped. They just keep breaking. Sage, quick, go get the keeps. Oh yeah, that's definitely the right stuff. You know, just as things get a bit older, they need a little bit more tending to. And speaking of that, Sage, did you know that by the age of 35, 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness.
Dude, that's tough.
Yeah, man. And we're 2 guys. That could be us.
No way.
Not gonna be me though, because I use Keeps, the new school way to treat men's hair loss.
That's fire.
Keeps has their own network of medical advisors that are gonna create a treatment perfect for you. This is what they sent me. A couple drops a day keeps the hair loss away. And Sage, this is the important part. Prevention is key. Doesn't matter if you got the hair now. The sooner you start, the more hairs you're gonna keep on top of your head. So again, use my link down in the description box. When you do, you can get 50% off your first treatment over at Keeps.
Bet.
Oh, that one didn't snap.
Oh, there you go.
I'm 1 for 6, not bad. Look at these. These are, yeah, they say Toyota on them. I mean, they're in really good shape, but a lot of the clips and things in here definitely seem to be the original since the brittle plastic, you know, came apart. My guess is that at the very least, all this wiring is original, which is probably pretty normal, but I wonder if these coils, spark plugs have ever been done once. Come on, they have to have been. These are really nice. They're the OEM ones. So one of my first questions when I saw this car is, you gotta wonder why the thing is like so cheap, right? They only wanted $1,500 for it, and geez, I paid nearly almost as much in shipping as I did for the car. Now, this is the second car I bought from Japan. The first you might have seen was a Nissan Figaro, and that was graded a 3.5 at the auction I bought it from. Those are grades out of 5. So when you're 3.5, you think it's, well, better than average. That car was in pretty rough shape, but that's 3.5, taking into consideration 2 things: the age and the mileage of the car. These cars have to be 25 years or older to import them in, and also the mileage. That car had over 200,000 kilometers. Now this car's grade, when I bought it, didn't have a grade. It was actually listed as an R. An R stands for like rebuilt or reconstructed, and that generally pertains to some sort of body damage or collision damage the car had that was repaired. In the back quarter here on the driver's side, what is our American passenger side, you could see it's definitely been repaired there, just from the standpoint of there's a little paint damage and you could see behind it, but otherwise repair looks really good. It doesn't look like anything out of the ordinary, nothing that would be deemed a salvage title here in America at least, and we'll check that out in a little bit. But the mechanical condition of this car so far is outstanding. All right, we've got all the spark plugs out. I want to just dump a little bit of oil down each one of the wells here and make sure that when this thing does fire up, everything's just nice and lubricated and we're not causing any additional damage because it's sat. Just a tiny little bit in each cylinder, cap full, little less than a cap full will do. Now, does this car even really need this? Probably not. I just want to be really safe because I haven't started in so long, and I looked up the cost of this engine. When I saw $6,000, I'm really amazed again at what this car is worth. So we're better off safe here, and this is really easy, cheap stuff, and we get to see a little bit more about the car. We see that it's been maintained well, has nice plugs in it. So if everything is good, it should fire up and run pretty good. Sage, you know about the cheap batteries in Tampa?
Of course I do.
So it's a thing around here, but I imagine it's at a lot of other actual battery shops. So if you have a shop that just carries batteries only, not your local store that carries everything and batteries, not the local auto parts store, but our local battery store sells what are called blems. That's exactly what this is. You can see they went and blacked out all the stickers on here. Anytime the casing is damaged or if a battery is bought and returned, they go and they sell it as a blem. This battery cost me 25 bucks, which is really helpful because a lot of the times these auction car batteries are dead. So this one, you hear it? It's dinging in there. We're not gonna start it yet. We gotta put the fuel stabilizer in really quick and then we'll fire it up. There we go. You gotta love Japanese cars, just everything works. You think if this was like a 95 BMW, that would still work? Probably didn't even have that. I don't even think my modern $100,000 X6 had an electronic battery or an electronic gas pop. I think it was manual, like you had to press it in, you know? All right, let's fire her up. Now this thing has one of these really cool digital gauge clusters, and look at the RPM gauge. It's like a race car. It goes up like that. It doesn't have a manual tachometer. Let's see how it sounds. 3, 2, 1. Well, that was no good. You know what our problem is, Sage?
What is our problem?
I didn't tighten down the battery terminals. Guarantee you that's a problem.
Yeah.
All right, let's try that again. All right, foot on the brake. 3, 2, 1. Really low fuel. We'll give it a second. There it is right there, 126,000 kilometers. So whatever that is in miles. We'll give it one more shot. Running a little rough right off the bat. That could be that little bit of oil that's in there. Let's try it again. Listen to that. Amazing. Amazing. I got no foot on the gas or anything. Look at that idle. Pretty crazy, right?
It is crazy.
Got a little bit of smoke. That's from the oil we put in.
Sounds good.
Sounds really good. What lights do we have? We have the power button on. Well, that's because that's selected, so we could shut that. And then it says overdrive is off. We have no lights on the dashboard. When I give it gas, it's acting a bit funny. Let's see. I'm going to give it a little gas. Yeah, when I give it gas, it's like it wants to stall out. And I'm wondering if that has to do with the bad gas. Sage, go ahead and give it a little gas. Oh, it sounds like it's getting a little better. Yeah, there you go. Sounds good from outside. This thing needs some fresh gas. Let's shut it off. Nice thing is, it hardly has any gas in it. So that bodes well for putting in some fresh gas. We got that whole bottle of stabilizer in here. I think this thing's gonna run really good once we get the gas in it, and got to put some air in those tires. Now I'm betting this is gonna make the Soarer run a whole lot better. And with just a little bit of air in the tires, this thing is pretty much ready to be taken on a test drive. And if the test drive goes well, you could probably take it on a road trip. Now, pretty much every Soarer that I've seen for sale here in the United States has an aftermarket set of wheels, probably because these are pretty basic, they're pretty boring. They are the original stamped Toyota right here, 16-inch wheels. But also looking at the tire itself, the DOT number, it says 14 right here. That tells me that this is a tire that was manufactured in 2014. So someone did use this car regularly, probably up till the point it was either sold or traded in and then brought to auction where I ended up getting it. This tire looks pretty darn flat, and I've got the big compressor in the shop over there, but just so we're not rolling it around and we don't destroy a completely flat tire, I've got the portable tire inflator here, so let's hook it up really quick and just throw some air in it. This thing is really cool. This is a Fantic jump starter. It's the same company that makes the jump pack I use all the time. All you do is take this hose and hook it up to the valve stem here by twisting it on really quick. When you hook it up, it'll tell us how much air is left in the tire. And so this one has like 16 PSI, which is actually kind of surprising. Just go and you hit the center button here. And just like that, once it gets to the set amount, it shuts itself off. You don't have to babysit it. I use this thing all the time because it inflates tires up to 150 PSI. So my truck tires that take near 70 PSI, this will do it. The cheaper ones stop at like 30 or 40. And it even has a bunch of different modes. So you can do bicycle tires. You can even do a basketball or football. And it's got a nice little light on the top of it. So if you get stuck at night, you can see what you're doing. And besides it being able to inflate anything, the battery that's built into this works like a power bank. It will charge your cell phone or your tablet on the go. There's a little USB port in the bottom right here. This thing is super cool, and anytime I show you guys a tool like this, you always ask me for a link, so I'm going to drop an Amazon link to the Fantic tire inflator down there. Make sure you check this one out. I use it all the time. We'll give it a little bit of gas. Let's see. There we go. It's coming to life now. Here we go. Foot on the brake. Look at this retro style shifter right here. Oh yeah, you can hear the rust coming off those brake rotors. with the plastic shield off, it's all perfect down here. No leaks coming from any of the pans, no trans fluid, no leaks in the steering rack. I mean, look at the boots. The boots look like they're not original. They look fresh. The bushings and the sway bar arms here both look really nice. Gotta love a Toyota. The suspension stuff all looks good. It's just the rotors inside of the wheels that need a heck of a cleaning there. Dude, this is unbelievable. Unreal condition down here. There's not a single leak on the oil pan. Now, mind you, we're gonna have to take this cover off to get to the oil filter. But I am seeing literally nothing but a nice clean Toyota under here. Can I get it? There we go.
Nice.
Ooh,
there you go.
This has to be a first ever in the history of Toyotas. We found something extremely difficult to do. The oil filter on this car is located on the driver's side, but remember, this is a imported Asian vehicle, so it's really an American passenger side. Anyway, the oil filter is halfway up the engine, so it's difficult to get to from the top. It's also difficult to get to the bottom. It's literally right here in the middle. This one has been on here so long it is stuck. I've used oil filter wrenches, we use cap wrenches. Nothing is getting it off. This filter was really stuck, so I tried the good old screwdriver pierce through the side of the can trick, and that usually gives you a lot of leverage to just spin these things off. Now, I did get the screwdriver through the filter, but the leverage wasn't there because I couldn't move my arm anywhere. There's just no room up here. I went to the store and bought every single oil filter tool they had on the shelf, and I personally failed using every single one of them. It is stuck for you too. Hold on. How'd you get it out? You've been under there for literally 3 minutes. That tool?
Yeah.
See, this is now proof. Everybody in the comment section is going to remind me. See, Sam doesn't even fix his own cars. He's got to hire someone to do it. Look at that. You got some nice war paint here.
Oh, it dripped on me?
Yeah, it's all good.
It's that Ric Flair drip. Did you put this giant gaping hole on this side?
Yes, I did. Well, you got it out, and you got it out in 3 minutes. That's why I have you come here, Mike. I'm going to tell you it's because Mike has tiny hands, and I've got gigantic, I've got huge hands, and I can't fit in there. It's Mike's tiny hands. All right, fresh gas, fresh oil, and all I want to do here is warm this car up, and I'm going to punch it, show you guys what a 1990, whatever this is, 3 or 4 twin turbo Toyota Soarer feels like. You hear the words twin turbo, and it can kind of be deceiving. You probably think it's like super fast. Frankly, I think it's actually very fast considering it's almost 30 years old, but it's definitely not like the fastest car you've ever been in, and it's not like one of those Supras you see that has 1,000 horsepower. Just driving this thing in general, it feels like every other Lexus I've been in. It's very smooth and soft. It doesn't corner very sporty. There's a lot of body roll. This car was meant to look like a cool coupe back in the day, but be just very kind of sedate and probably reliable. But there is one thing that sets this apart from pretty much every other Lexus I've ever driven. It's definitely the twin turbos. It does provide for a little bit of noise, a little bit of different driving dynamic. They're pretty fun. We'll go foot to the floor. We're at a stoplight now. I've got the overdrive off, got the power setting on. Let's see how it does. Sure, it's not super fast, but think about this. This car's 30 years old. It's really fast for being 30 years old. And, well, since it's twin turbo, if this car had the manual transmission, it would be a bit more tunable, but since it doesn't, from what I understand, it makes things harder to manipulate. But I think all these people running these big, high-powered twin turbo 1JZ or 2JZ cars are using standalone units anyway. Really, in order to get the power out of this car, you need a manual transmission. But you see the condition of this thing. It really is like a time capsule. So for me, I think it's probably better off left that way. Sage did a good job cleaning up the Soarer, and it will give us a better look at why this car was given that R grade at the auction, what was rebuilt or reconstructed on it, and likely why it was sold to me so cheap. So if we take a close look at the front bumper here, you can see it doesn't match the hood. I'm guessing somebody got a cheap bumper respray on this at one time, and it just hasn't aged the same as like the paint again on the hood. And if you look all over this car, maybe it was driven by an older person, because there are little scratches and scrapes on a lot of the bumpers, a lot of the sides, and they were very diligent in touching them up with their paint pen, because you can't tell from back here, but again, up close, this sort of stuff is kind of all over. If we go to the back here, this side is the good side. I don't see anything out of the ordinary here on the, again, we're gonna call this the left side of the car. Again, a paint scratch touch up right here. We look in the door area, Nothing out of the ordinary, except for the fact that Sage did take the door panel off. We found one broken window regulator. So far, that is the only issue we know on this car. Come around again, we have another paint touch-up in the rear section right here. Looking at the back, same story with the bumpers, just kind of faded. And then coming around here to the right side, here is our bad section. Now you see all these areas of paint that have just come off here. That paint was there when I got the car, so I actually had my friend Nathan, the dent trooper. He came out and he did PDR all over the car, and this area was dented in a bit more than it is now. Nathan pulled it out. When he pulled it, pulled the paint.
Pulled the paint.
Yeah.
But I guess.
Well, I'm wondering, look at this. What is that, Bondo?
Yeah.
So this is just a paint repair already.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's getting repainted, man. I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be paintless, Nathan.
I know.
Paintless. Factory.
I was like, it shocked me at first.
Factory paint doesn't do that.
No.
This side has been previously repaired, and then, well, it was obviously scraped up again with all this paint touch-up on it and everything. And when you open up the door and feel inside here, there's no seams, there's no rough areas, which would imply a little bit of overspray. My guess is that this is the original quarter panel, and it was repaired just using body fill. But again, whoever did this did a good job. It doesn't feel really dense, and it's really flat. And again, the glue pull pulled the dented area out. If this was straight body filler, we would have been pulling chunks of body fill out. So this entire quarter panel is all scratched up. It looks really rough, but it's really flat and will require a bit of sanding and pretty minimal body work to get it flat again before we repaint it. Now we got to take a second to admire the interior. It's pretty simple, and it's a similar layout like you would see on the SC300s and SC400s. But come on, every car in America that I see has a tattered up armrest, especially when it's this like fake leathery sort of stuff. How about the seats? This material is something you don't really see over here, but you see it on a lot of the early and mid 90 Toyotas at the Japanese auctions. And this, it just doesn't wear. I mean, it looks brand new. I mean, even look at the driver's seat, a little tiny wear on the bolster there, but no rips, no tears. Got a little stain on the carpet there, nothing too bad. But I want to know, this is on both sides. Is this the original kind of sticker that goes over from the factory? Did somebody keep that on the entire life of the car? And of course, I already showed you how cool the digital gauge is, but we got the Toyota Soarer emblem in the steering wheel here. This center console is very similar. It's basically identical to what you'd find in SC300 and SC400. Of course, the glove box here, I haven't even, oh, check it out. Look at this, an extra key and the original Soarer manual. I wonder what this by itself would sell for. Auction cars in America never come with the original manuals. Barely do they come with a spare key. We got both. This was an incredible score. I think you'd be hard pressed to go to your local auction or in your local marketplace, find something this unique in this good a condition for under $3,000. Now I know a lot of you are thinking, you bought this car a couple years ago. How could you match this deal today? And it probably is true that 1JZ twin turbo has crept up in value over the last 2 years, and the engine itself is worth more than I paid for the car. But in Japan, there are a lot of really cool K cars, which are the like tiny miniature cars. There are a lot of K trucks. And there's a lot of like cool neutral cars. There's Nissan Skyline sedans. There's Toyota Aristo inline sixes. And they all trade hands between like $1,000 and $2,000. I've even seen some cars sell at these auctions for under $1,000. So if you enjoyed seeing what you can get all the way from Japan, even with an R-graded title for, you know, a couple grand, be sure to give this video a like and let me know what you would want to see me pick up next, because when they're this cheap, there's a ton of fun that could be had. Now, we already went through the list, but this car just needs a window regulator, needs some body work, and it needs a fresh paint job. And when it comes to paint, I always ruin my cars by painting them some weird shade of purple, and that is not going to happen on this car. I want to hear from you guys down in the comments what color I should paint this car. I'm thinking a good neutral color, something maybe in this spectrum here, but not quite Chevy Lumina green. That's what it looks like now to me. Again, let me know down there. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, where I'm posting pictures and updates to all the new projects there before anything goes live on YouTube, go ahead, follow me right here. I just posted a picture of the new supercar project that's sitting right in front of me. And one brake rotor on that car costs more than that entire car. So that's gonna be no fun, but it could be fun if we figure out a budget solution. Guys, I wanna thank each and every one of you for watching today, and I'll catch you very soon.